It's not what it looks like.
I remember that night clearly, the kind of night that changes a man forever. The air outside was heavy, sticky, and unnervingly quiet. Even the crickets seemed to have gone silent, as if the world itself was waiting for something to happen. For weeks I'd been feeling it, that gnawing sense that something wasn't right. My wife Melissa had started staying up late, pretending to watch her shows with her earbuds in. Her phone was always face down, her laughter hidden behind locked doors. And then there were the messages, signal notifications lighting up her screen at midnight, one after another. When I asked who it was, she'd smile that rehearsed smile and say, "Just work stuff, go back to sleep." But I couldn't. Sleep had become a stranger to me. Every night I stared at the ceiling, wondering who she was really talking to, wondering if she was laughing at the same jokes she once laughed at with me. That evening when she said she was going to the store for some personal things, something in me snapped. I grabbed my keys and followed her. Not out of anger, but out of a desperate need for truth. The night was dim, streetlights flickering in uneven patches. I stayed a few cars behind her as she turned down our street, then past it. My heart thudded harder with each turn. She wasn't heading to any store. She was heading somewhere else, somewhere close. Then I saw it. The small hotel just 4 houses away from ours. The one with the neon sign that always buzzed faintly at night. Her car rolled into the lot like it belonged there. My chest tightened. She parked, checked her phone, and stepped out. I killed my engine and watched. A man was waiting by the entrance. Tall, casual clothes. He looked too comfortable, too familiar. She smiled. That smile, the one I hadn't seen in months. And in that moment, something inside me broke. They disappeared inside together. My breath came shallow. Every logical part of me screamed to leave, to drive away, to forget what I saw. But my hands were shaking. My legs moved on their own. I stepped out of the car, the night air burning my skin. Each step toward that hotel felt like walking into a nightmare. I could hear my own pulse pounding in my ears. My body was trembling, my mouth dry. The front desk clerk didn't even glance at me, just scrolled on his phone while I walked past. The hallway smelled of old carpet and cheap perfume. I moved quietly like a ghost following the scent of betrayal. And then I heard it, a muffled laugh, her voice. My stomach dropped. I stopped outside the door, half open, barely cracked. My eyes darted through the gap and I froze. It was her, Melissa. Her hair, her hands, her smile, all wrapped around someone who wasn't me. My heart erupted. For a moment the world went completely still, then came roaring back in a flood of disbelief, rage, and grief. My voice tore out before I could stop it. "Melissa!" She screamed. The man stumbled. I kicked the door open, the hinges rattling. The room seemed to shrink, the walls closing in. "What are you doing?" she shouted, trying to cover herself with excuses that didn't matter anymore. I couldn't even speak. My throat burned, but no words came. I felt my knees weaken, my hands clench. The air was thick with shame, and the sound of my own heartbeat. I turned and stormed out. The hallway spun, my vision blurred, and yet I kept moving, down the stairs, through the lobby, into the cold night air. I could still hear her calling my name from behind, but it sounded distant, hollow, meaningless. Outside, the street looked the same as it always had, but I wasn't the same man walking on it. The house lights glowed faintly 4 doors down. Home. Our home. The place we built together, now just a shell of lies. I stood there, looking back at that hotel. My hands were trembling so badly I had to grip the car door to steady them. My scream still echoed in my ears, but underneath it was something quieter, something darker, a thought that wouldn't leave me. If she could do this so easily, if she could betray everything we had and smile while doing it, then maybe forgiveness was never an option. Maybe the only thing left was balance, making her feel the same pain she gave me. I didn't know how yet, but I knew one thing for sure. This wasn't over. I didn't sleep that night. I sat in my car for hours, parked outside our home, staring at the front door like it was a stranger's house. My mind replayed everything I saw. Her laugh, her hands, that hotel door half open. Each memory hit like a knife twisting deeper. By the time the sky began to lighten, I wasn't angry anymore. I was empty, numb, and in that emptiness a thought took shape. Cold, calculated, perfect. When Melissa finally came home, she tried to look normal. She had her excuses rehearsed. Something about a misunderstanding, a colleague from Discord, lies she probably practiced in front of a mirror. I didn't argue. I didn't shout. I just looked at her and said quietly, "Let's start over." Her eyes widened. She didn't expect that. She thought I'd throw her out or break down. But instead I smiled, the kind of smile that makes people drop their guard. From that day, I played my role flawlessly. I became the husband she thought she'd manipulated back into submission. I cooked. I asked about her day. I held her hand. I even laughed at her jokes, and every time she looked at me, she saw safety, forgiveness, love. But beneath that calm surface, I was studying her, every move, every lie she told, every late-night text she thought I didn't notice. She had no idea that while she slept peacefully beside me, I was unlocking her phone with her thumbprint, saving screenshots, copying messages, and tracking her calls. I learned everything, the man's name, his number, even the photos she'd sent. But I didn't confront her. I didn't need to. I was patient. Revenge isn't loud. It's quiet, precise, and mine was just beginning. Weeks passed. The tension in the house dissolved into fake laughter and shallow peace. We went to dinner. We held hands in public. We looked like a couple rebuilding their marriage, but in reality, I was rebuilding the stage for her downfall. One night while she was in the shower, I printed out everything, every message, every picture, every time-stamped lie. I sealed them neatly in an envelope. Then I stared at her phone, still lighting up with signal alerts, and smiled. She thought she had control. She didn't know I was already 3 steps ahead. The next day, I told her parents I wanted to plan something special for our anniversary. She lit up like a child. She didn't know what I really meant. By the time that special day came, she was relaxed, even affectionate. She'd started to believe we were healing. She even wore the perfume I once told her reminded me of our early years together. But that night, while she dressed for dinner, I sent out a few scheduled messages from an anonymous email account, one to her parents, one to her best friend, and one to her boss. The subject line was simple: "You should know who she really is." I left the house before she did. I waited near the restaurant, calm as ever. My phone buzzed again and again, unreadable expressions flashing across her contact photo as she called, desperate. By the time she arrived, her face was pale. She'd seen the fallout. She knew. Her voice shook as she asked, "What did you do?" I looked at her across the table, candles flickering between us, her hands trembling, and said, "I just told the truth." She started to cry, but I didn't move. No pity, no guilt, just the silence she once gave me. And in that silence, I realized something. Forgiveness isn't what she needed. It's what she feared most, because it meant I was done caring. She reached out for me, whispering apologies that no longer mattered. I stood, placed my wedding ring on the table, and leaned close enough for her to hear the final thing I had to say. "You'll feel everything you made me feel, but slower." Then I turned and walked out into the night. Her cries followed me, but they didn't hurt this time. They sounded like justice. Still, as I reached my car, my phone buzzed again. A notification from an unknown number. One message, just 6 words that froze me in place. "You don't know the whole story." I looked back toward the restaurant window. Her phone was on the table, untouched. So who sent it? My hand tightened around the steering wheel. My heart started to race again. For the first time since that night at the hotel, I wasn't sure who was really in control. I didn't go home that night. For the first time in 15 years, I didn't feel like I owed her anything. Not an explanation, not forgiveness, not even a goodbye. I drove aimlessly through the city, letting the lights blur past my windshield. Every thought of her used to hurt, but now it fueled me. Because she hadn't just betrayed me, she had humiliated me, and I was done being the one who bled for her mistakes. The next morning, my phone was flooded with messages from her mother, from friends who had seen what I'd done. Screenshots, confessions, the truth. She had been exposed to everyone who once looked at her with pride. Her perfect image was shattered, and I didn't even have to lift a finger anymore. By noon, I got the final message that told me everything I needed to know. She'd been suspended from work. Her company didn't want the kind of drama attached to her name. The Discord man. He'd blocked her after everything blew up. Coward. She had burned every bridge she ever built, and all I had to do was let the truth breathe. When I finally walked back into our home, she was there, sitting on the floor, eyes swollen, phone clutched in her shaking hands. The moment she saw me, she broke down. "Please," she whispered. "I can fix this. I'll do anything." I stared at her. The same woman who once looked at me like I wasn't enough, now sat there begging to stay in a house that wasn't hers anymore, a life she'd already thrown away. "You already did enough," I said quietly. I moved through the house without a word, picked up my suitcase, the one I had packed days before. She didn't even notice that it was ready, because while she was sneaking around with him, I was preparing my exit. She followed me to the door, crying, apologizing, swearing she'd change, but I'd already changed. The man she betrayed was gone. What stood before her now was someone colder, someone she created. When I stepped outside, she grabbed my arm. Her voice cracked. "Please, tell me this isn't forever." I looked at her for the last time. Her makeup was smeared, her hair messy, her hands trembling, the face of a woman realizing too late what she had lost. "Forever started the night you walked into that hotel," I said. Then I pulled away and closed the door behind me. For a long moment, I just stood there on the sidewalk. The morning air was cold, sharp, and strangely quiet. I could hear her crying inside, but it didn't reach me anymore. I had spent years saving her feelings, sacrificing mine. Now the silence felt like freedom. As I walked to my car, the phone buzzed again. One last message from her. "I'll never forgive you for what you did to me." I smiled. "You don't have to," I murmured. "I never asked for forgiveness." I started the engine and drove away, leaving the house and her shrinking in the rearview mirror. That was the last time I ever saw Melissa. Some say revenge doesn't heal anything. Maybe they're right, but sometimes it doesn't have to heal. Sometimes it just needs to end the story. And mine ended the moment I stopped being the victim. If you made it this far, thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more real-life stories like this. Stories that remind us that sometimes walking away is the loudest revenge of all.